Hey, Break Timers, it's Patrick McMullen, and welcome back to this next episode of the Break Time U podcast. Joined again by my rockin' friend, Alan Schaefer. Some stories about some great concerts we went to, and the lesson that you can't be lucky without being good. So listen in and enjoy. Hey, it's Patrick McMullen, and I'm back with Alan Schaefer for another Break Time U podcast. We just finished recording a previous episode, my favorite episode of all time, where the luckiest man, and I consider myself in a lot of ways in my own life extremely lucky. I'm blessed, and Alan, I think in life we're all given gifts, something that just we got that no one else got in life. And you have a gift in music and having made it your career. But I would imagine there's other things in life that you would say, gosh, I'm just lucky and it's me and I'm the only one that has that. What would that be for you?
You know, I don't know that I'm the only one that has it, but what I will say is this: I am very energized to connect with people, and I make a lot of friends in a lot of places, and because of it, I get to experience things that I would have never ever gotten to experience just by showing up, just by saying hello to people, and having an open mind and an open heart. And so I get to do like really crazy cool things because people will invite, or they will go, oh, you should meet so and so. And I'm not a networker. It's like that's not my, like, I'm tired of talking at the end of the day. But like, if I'll go for sushi after this, and if I sit at the bar, I'll make friends, and might be someone that'll come to a show, or that'll have will share some kind of meaningful information that just mattered at the right time for the right reason for either of us, and just kind of its own currency. So that's the part that never stops and never gets old.
Moments that count, and that's not meant to be a cheesy movie line, but it's the truth. And you folks, if you haven't watched previous episodes, I mean, Alan's got a great background, as we talked about. He's played in bands all over the globe. He's worked with companies that are located all over the globe and all types of different leaders. And you've experienced amazing days and events in your life. And a lot of it, those centers around music. And so I have to ask, because
All right.
we both have one thing that we have in common. We used to both have a lot longer hair.
Yeah, I had a lot
And
more of it.
I still, my wife has said, hey, I want you to grow your hair out someday so that everybody could see how long it was. And so the reality is, it takes me back when it was really long. Is That's when lighters were used at concerts instead of mobile phones. And so
Uh-huh.
I think back, you've played in bands, and do you have a preference? It's a stupid question, but I have to ask. It's the world's changed from going to a concert where everybody used to just, you would have a lighter. I didn't even never smoke in my life, but now it's all the mobile phones. Which one would you prefer?
I would take a lighter all day long.
Why is that?
It's a The warmth of the flame is different than the cold heat of the screen.
Because everybody has a phone.
Yeah.
Let's face it, back when I was younger, yeah, there were some folks that had the lighter. Usually the ones that carried the lighter were also lighting some things
Yeah,
that,
here's the thing. The phone thing looks cool,
yeah,
but like it's not, and it's definitely appeals to the senses, but like when you see like an arena full of lighters, it's like candles. It's
yeah.
calming. It's a different it's a different experience.
And I would imagine what I think you use the term music is a time machine.
Hmm.
I'm going to challenge you to think back
Yeah.
and digest this one. Think back to your favorite lighter moment that you were playing that you just said, gosh, I am, steal the line from our last episode, I'm the luckiest man. I have a great life. I am up here living the dream, singing, playing in a band, and I'm looking out at this audience. They got lighters out. What is that? What's that moment for you?
Mm. You know, it wasn't it was a different type of lighter. It was Mount Etna. I was playing in Sicily for the troops at a Navy base called Sigonella. And while I was on stage in the distance, I could see Mount Etna erupting. And so I'm like, okay, I am here in Sicily and there's a volcano just going off while we're playing rock and roll. Like, that is not something you see every day.
No, it's not. I would imagine, like, I have this saying, I think I've said it with you before, is there's moments in our life when we don't need a camera to capture the memory. We're always, it's just burned in our
And
mind.
and
And
I'll tell you the other one was playing the British Virgin Islands music festival.
right, right.
So
And
here's let's talk about perseverance for a moment because I have I've been to the British Virgin Islands like 20 something times, and for a while, we used to go every year. And every year we would go when we'd be leaving, there was a ferry service called Smith Ferry, and there's a woman named Marjorie Smith who uh maybe she saw me with the guitar or whatever, and she says, "Oh, I'm on the committee for the BVI Music Fest." And every year I'd go down there and I'd go, "When are you gonna let me play the Music Fest? When are you gonna let us play the Music Fest?" And every year she would try, and it never happened. Finally, after like 5 years in a row, she got the committee to say yes because they had like big reggae artists like Buju Banton and Luciano, and they had like Gladys Knight. Actually, you know what? Hold on. You know something? I got here. As look at this. This is just happens to be in my office. Can you see this?
yes, I can.
So this was the festival, and I will never forget being in like customs in the airport, and this woman, and I'm just sitting there waiting, and all of a sudden there's this tap on my shoulder, and this woman behind me. I go, "Oh, sorry, did I step on you?" She goes, she points. I go, "What are you pointing at?" She goes, "Is that you?" And there's this big, huge picture of us in the band. And what was so cool about that show? First of all, it was like this long time coming, but they gave us our hotel was a 50-some-foot catamaran and
Wow.
in Cane Garden Bay. And when it was time to go to the stage, we dinghied over from the boat, got on stage, and yeah, it was
Did
like
your thing.
it was crazy. And we had all these islanders coming up going, "Yeah, I'm not into rock," but yeah, they were feeling it, and they were just the thing is they were feeling us. Even though they weren't into rock music, they were like they were really like they felt us, whatever it is we were doing. So that's the purity.
And that's, I have found that as I've gotten older, there's different musicians or different sounds I like, and just instantly, all of a sudden, you've downloaded a whole album of somebody you never even heard of,
Oh yeah.
and and you enjoy them. And it sounds like that's what you did. Is they maybe were never rockers, but all of a sudden they heard you and your band, and bang, here you are.
Yeah.
And not to use a corny term, but here's the rock star, and you brought it out in all of them. Wow, how fun was that?
It was super fun. It was surreal.
And that's again, folks, where you talk about living the dream. I mean, you uh, just a great piece, and I mean, even have to ask it because you're still playing, and that's
Yeah.
fun. And you talked about in our last episode how you you murdered that last gig you did last
Yeah.
weekend. How long you plan to play? I mean, is this something that you just,
Well,
hey, I'm going to go until the guitar doesn't work anymore?
well, I would say this. As long as I can do the things with my voice that I want them to do, I'll keep doing it. Um, Playing in a cover band is kind of its own unique thing. I've never really done that before, and so that's been an interesting getting my brain to be able to learn lyrics faster. So I've turned that from a I have to into I get to
Uh,
exercise, which is like, oh, instead of sweating it, I'm like, you know what? This last time, I mean, I learned 5 new songs, and some of the songs were not easy songs to sing, like Flagpole Sitta by Harvey Danger. That's like a ton of lyrics. Um, Mr. Brightside by The Killers. Like, those are not super easy songs to sing, but I like the challenge of it. And then also, I still write, like,
right.
as long as I'm still feeling, I still have things to write about. So yeah, I don't, music can maybe like dormant in you, but it never really goes away.
Well, I guess and we're going to start segueing again a little bit into your expertise and what you do for your day job. And folks, it's not a day job; it's a company. Alan's the CEO of called Banding People Together, but he mentors executives, companies, leaders. He's met with and influenced. Is it fair to say thousands of
Oh
people?
yeah.
But I would imagine you've mentored some folks in the
Mhm.
music world, and you've been mentored.
I
And
have.
uh, tell me a good and bad advice that both either you gave or received that you look back and say that was really good or that was just stupid as hell.
Well, so here's what I would say. So, um, very rarely is there a week that I don't have a conversation with someone who's trying to figure out what they're doing next in their life.
Hmm.
And I've thought about this a lot. I actually just had one of these calls today. An HR person who decided to start their own company and whatnot. And I think there's a couple of reasons. I've really tried to analyze why this happens. And for one, I've never ever had to wonder what was next for me. I've just evolved from one thing to the next. But every week, I have this opportunity to share something with someone. Whether you call it mentor or not mentor, whatever, I fundamentally believe we're all in this together, and no one gets to there on their own, you know. And so we all need help. And I've had just a ton of amazing mentors, and um, but like today, there was a gentleman who was talking about starting his own company and this and that. And he said, I went to this company thinking that I was going to really be able to make an impact in like the employee experience and the culture, and like that's what they were bringing me here to do. Turns out I was never gonna be able to do that. And I go, oh, you saw the wizard. And he said, what? I was like, yeah, you saw the wizard. And I said, and we need to talk about that for a moment. People in listening need to understand that when it comes to a job, you know, you have an opportunity to ask a better question. And we get interviewed, and in the name of hope and the outcome that we are addicted to or that we want, like which is I want to get that job. It's the same. We ignore the signals in the same way that we ignore the signals in the relationships that we're in. Oh, I know, I know so and so can be kind of rude or doesn't open the door for me or but whatever. But oh yeah, they really love me or they really like. You ignore the signals,
Right.
and um, you know there shouldn't really be a surprise when you take a job if you ask a different question. And we talked about our friend Mr. Noor, and and you know I find myself deconstructing in these career type calls. And again, I don't. This is not part of my business. I do this to give back to the game, you know. And when anyone asks, I always jump on a call, and it's a very particular pattern, which is like, yeah, I went there for this, this, and this, but it wasn't that. And I always go, well, how did you vet that out? What did you ask? And they're like, I guess I didn't. I'm like, okay, well, that's the opportunity for the next one, Shame on you if you make the same mistake again on that. So how do you ask a different question? And so it's it's fascinating that, I don't know that I don't know. Wow, it's interesting. I've mentored a lot of people. I don't know that I consider myself a mentor. Um, I like the word champion. I want to be someone's champion more so than someone's mentor. For me, champion means I'm all in. My network is your network. You got a problem. I want to help you help yourself solve it. Um, uh, Again, not knocking mentorship or mentoring in a traditional sense, but when I think about what I've done, I've had champions. And here's the thing: a mentor believes or helps, you know, but like a champion is a different level of belief in somebody. And I believe that we have an opportunity to be a champion for people.
Well, you have talked about in our several of the episodes we've done together is that word belief, and
Yeah.
you just elaborated on better questions and asking better questions. And one of the things that I feel that I look at doing self-reflection, something you do a lot of. I look at challenges that I've had professionally in my life. Is it all centers around the people in the seat? And whether you're watching this as a leader or as an employee and you're on your break or at any time in your life, are you in the right fit? Have you hired the right person or have you taken the right job? And I
Oh yeah.
feel that one of the things that I'm guessing you impact a lot is after banding people together has made their impact on a company is people start asking different questions when they go to interview people. And so talk
Yeah.
about that. Where do you mentor people when it comes to hiring or even
Well,
interviewing?
so we come at it from a very particular spot, and what I will tell you is for the work that we do, we get brought in generally because people want to optimize, they want to get aligned, they want more harmony, they want to be better, be better communicators, all this stuff, right? Accelerate some level of transformation. But what I always tell people, especially leaders, I go buyer beware. Because when you go through this exercise, there's some things that are going to shift in flight for you in your mind under the guise of talent. Because again, just to remind you and everyone listening that like we're studying bias and subjectivity and judgment, right? And that's pervasive. It's part of our humanity. We have a tendency from a talent perspective, we hire mini-me's. Wow, you're so like me, Patrick, so I'm gonna hire you. Yeah, you feel like home, man. You're great. I really liked you in this interview. It doesn't matter even that you don't have any experience doing XYZ. I'm hiring you because man, you and I are gonna bro down. I mean, the what happens is when we talked about this in the last episode, when you start getting to that root cause of the things that you were experiencing, and then you start going, wait a minute, as a leader, holy cow, I wasn't setting Patrick up for as much success as I thought. All of a sudden, the talent thing starts to expand. And
Mm-hmm.
what we find is, if we do it right and somebody's really paying attention and really hitting some level of internal growth, they go, oh, wow, this person that I thought was a rock star really is, or actually isn't as much of a rock star because they're actually really negatively impacting a lot of people, even though they're putting up a result. And some of these people over here that are a little quiet, that aren't speaking up, that I was calling not engaged, holy goodness, they can create enormous value. Like I had it all wrong. And
Right.
so, again, that's the idea that ultimately what we're trying to help people do and what we take great pride in is helping people see beyond themselves.
And that's a tough thing to do because unfortunately there's this world and it's going to come into ego. Even
Mhm.
you've talked about ego, you talk about humility. Uh, I look back in my life and I have a couple things where have defined my life, my professional career, and so forth, and things that I sure as hell wish I had done differently. Faced with a certain circumstance where I would, if I had turned right instead of turning left, outcomes could have been a lot different in a lot of different areas. And I think that a lot of it comes down to still is you got to have that humility, being humble. And what would you say to our break room audience that's sitting here right now? Maybe someone's kind of 50-50 on their job or their business or their company, and they're just, well, how would you help them be humble so that they make those right decisions and get to where they want to go and be successful?
Well, I think sitting with what it is that they don't feel is working or what they don't like about it, what doesn't feel cool to them is the first thing. And there's some real basic intrinsic human motivators that we've talked about in the past. So I can tell you right away, you could be in the coolest industry in the world, but if you don't have a voice every day in your job, it doesn't matter that you're making movies or working in a recording studio or doing something glamorous. It sucks. Like it
Right.
sucks. Or you could be making widgets somewhere but have a voice and go, oh man, this is phenomenal, right? So it's not, the quality isn't necessarily the sexiness of the industry per se. Like we have lots of ways that we create value in this world. Um, I think if you are not contributing in a way that is meaningful to you, in a way that is creating impact, again, you're not going to be loving your job.
Hmm.
I think if you are not growing, if you feel like, I'm not really learning anything. Yeah, I'm doing my job. I'm pressing the button, I'm doing the thing, but I'm not getting any better. I'm not, I don't see where this is leading me. I think that's another issue. And that's where I think you got to call timeout, timeout with yourself. Think about what it is that you could be doing better or different, and then change the conversation with your manager and go, you know, I, how can I have more of a voice because I think I can contribute. Now, what's slippery is sometimes, and in certain, when sometimes in certain dynamics, people don't have a voice and it's self-imposed, and other times they really don't have a voice because of just the dynamics of the team, or maybe they have a leader that just doesn't create the space in the mix. So you got to be careful. But the one thing that any manager is going to be on board with is, hey, you want to make more of an impact? What's that look like for you?
Yeah.
Cool.
Get
I
comfortable.
mean, I can promise you, out of the thousands of people hopefully watching this, can count on one hand how many people have ever gone to their manager and gone, I think I could make a different impact. Because we also equate that with, oh, they're going to dump more work. No, no, not I don't have enough to do, okay? But like, I feel like I can make a different impact in our organization, or for our customers, or for the mission, or whatever that is. Um, every good leader wants to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, as somebody that's run a large organization, there's several people in my life that I wish I could replicate. And one of the things that I come back to, I was actually talking to one this morning, and where he is now, he's flourishing. He loves it. And the reality is it goes back to he's doing the same things that he was doing when he worked for me in the past. This is just somebody that he's able to be himself. They embrace his ideas, that they'll sit down and listen to him when he has input, and the results have been extraordinary. And unfortunately, people don't find that voice. They don't find that. And
Yeah.
sometimes you've got to be willing to change. So I had a question written down, and it as I was thinking of, again, prepping for this, because it will go to, I'm going to throw a complete curveball at
All
you,
right.
kind of go back to your music life.
Yeah.
You were, again, a lead singer. You played hundreds of shows, if not thousands, right? And you probably went into a show going, that song, I'm never going to play it because they'll think that's stupid or wouldn't be there. But all of a sudden, someone that's listened to you said, hey, Alan, play this. What was it? Where was it? And what was your first thought when they said it? And the reason I ask it is, my brother's a diehard Bruce Springsteen fan. I mean, he's a groupie. He follows him everywhere. And he was telling me when my niece was younger that one time, all of a sudden, they were at a show and my niece yelled out, play this song. And Bruce kind of looked over and said, really? That song kind of sucks, but I'll play it.
Wow.
And obviously for my little niece, it made, when she was far younger, her night. So what's that moment for you in getting people to get out of their comfort zone?
Man, I don't know that I have a really good answer. You might have stumped me with the curveball. Because what I will tell you is this. So first of all, I wasn't a lot of times when people were yelling out requests,
Hmm.
it was like free. It was someone's had too much to drink and they're yelling Freebird. I'm like, oh wow, you're the person that's doing that. Okay, got it. And I wasn't very kind when those were being thrown out. Um, Especially when we were playing more in bars and clubs, and people are coming up and they think that you're like their jukebox, and they're
Sure.
requesting songs. So like that was that. There were, in the Five Stars days where we had fans coming to shows, and like, look, if someone, we had people that had seen all the bands that I'd been in for like 15 years, and they would come out, and they would throw out a song, they would yell something almost absurd that was like a 20-year-old song for me. And I would play it just because they weren't expecting them to play it. So I was, and even if we couldn't get through the song, I'd be like, yeah, just because for me, that was like, all right. They probably thought that was a wild long shot, and holy cow, he played it. And so it was always something that, you know, uh, people would write about or share online about, or like, oh man, they played the whatever. And that was always, it was always just interesting to me that people even cared enough. Do you know, like that's what
Sure,
blew me
sure.
away. I'm like, wow, like I'm glad you care that much that you want to hear this song. So,
Well, so that also then goes to, we'll transition it back to what you do because folks, Alan uses music and he puts people through an exercise. And again, I've used this term a few times, the music time machine. And you've had some challenges, I'm sure, in some of your professional experiences. And one of your things you make people do is write songs and do different things to band
oh yeah.
people together. Uh, Name one though, or can you remember an instance where someone wrote a song that was just so off the wall that it even dumbfounded you that you're on stage going whole or up front and going, "Oh my gosh, this
Well,
mind blowing."
not really, but what I will tell you is this. So we worked within the leadership development program for a band called SunTrust that is now Truist, and
Mhm.
we worked with them for many years, and we had like all these different facilitators, and I mean, it got to the place where I, I had guys that and gals that were just a whole lot more talented than I was leading the facilitation for when we were writing songs with people, and I remember one of the songs someone had used some bad language, and I remember saying to the facilitator, I said, "Hey, look, um, we can't have that. Like, because we would also record these songs, just wasn't appropriate. Like,
Sure.
the optics of the band guys coming into a conservative bank and all that was just, that was already its own thing. And so I thought, and again, as someone that's in the business of clarity, just when you think you've locked down the clarity, people will surprise you. And a very, very smart gentleman who I love dearly to this day, and he gets up to do the song with his group, and and they're curse words. And I'm like about to lose my mind. I cannot even fathom how we got to that because of the level of conversation that we had. And so I said to him after, I was like, man, what happened? And this is his answer to me. And again, for those of you listening, like really what we do at Banding, we're in the business of producing a hit song called Clarity so that people can get aligned, get in the groove, get more done, feel good doing it. And so I'm constantly trying to get to hyper clarity so it leaves nothing to the imagination. So I, in my mind, have told this gentleman that in no uncertain terms, we can't have any bad language. I go, what happened? He goes, oh, you said we couldn't come up with any bad language. The group came up with the bad language.
Wow.
And I was like, I just like,
Well, the clarity.
and it's just how he interpreted the message.
Wow.
A wildly intelligent, amazing human being. And that's how right? That's just how it hit his brain. And I couldn't even wrap my brain around what was unclear.
Well, yeah, that makes you want to jump off the. We talked about stage surfing. That might have made you
Oh yeah.
jump off the stage and go, "I'm going to surf my way right out the back door on that one." That's crazy. It makes you wonder sometimes again how does someone arrive at that? How would someone think that that's okay?
I know, and that's the thing that I will say, anytime we find ourselves saying, how do you not know that, or how did they not know that, or what were they thinking? Like, there is generally a reason that is beyond our visibility.
Hmm.
And but again, we kind of pounce on it like animals, like hyenas. We pounce on we're gonna get our pound of flesh for this person who just did whatever. And that's really at the core of the accountability work that we do with with our clients. Accountability, I've come to learn, Patrick, it's so interesting, the PTSD people have. I ask people, like, tell me about what accountability. Raise your hand if you wake up in the morning and go, wow, today I get to have an accountability conversation. Like, no one does. And why? Well, it feels like people say, well, it feels like you're being told you screwed up. It's and I'll say, are people approaching you, or they're confronting you? Oh no, you feel confronted. So it feels like conflict. And I go, but under the guise of clarity and the moving target of human perception, bias and judgment and crappy communication, which is rampant and pervasive, we have more reasons to be misaligned than aligned. And people go, yeah, okay, you know what goes along with being misaligned? Mismanaged expectations. So what if an accountability conversation is not to rub your nose in it? We're just going to reconcile a mismanaged expectation. And by the way, that's part of being a human and doing business with humanity. There's no way around it. I mismanage people's expectations all day long, and I'm an expert at this stuff, right? And so ultimately, we have people share the language. Like, okay, so not if it's time to hold you accountable, Patrick, when, what's the language I use? And it's fascinating. Everybody has something that feels better for them. Like, if you say, help me understand to someone, they might go, oh, that's perfect. Say the same words, help me understand, and it's condescending to someone else.
And that's as we begin to wrap up this segment, it goes down to that piece is very applicable for you in some of my questions, being able to read your audience. And unfortunately, the one way or the highway, it's my way or the highway. Still, there's too many leaders out there that they're not humble enough to look at themselves, and let alone realize that how it affects one may not be that same message to somebody else.
Yeah. And for me, that's not a leader, that's a boss.
Yes. Yeah. So, well, we're at the break time minute, and I'm going to, I don't even know if I've ever asked you this one before, but you know how to play We Are the Champions by Queen?
Oh, I don't. I know some Queen, but I don't know We Are the Champions.
Well, I'm going to have you come up with a Queen song that you want to play, because my break time minute is in reference to We Are the Champions and Queen. So you'll get to sing your Queen song. But you said something today I think I really took away, really stuck at me, is that don't be a mentor to someone, be their champion. Be somebody that champions someone in a room that they're not in. And it comes down to, you really hit something and defined it, who that champion is you have just a higher level of belief in them or their strategy. Do that in your life. I mean, whether it's your spouse, your kids, your friends, your boss, your company, be a champion, not a mentor. A mentor, I think everybody can be a mentor. Get to another level. It's something that Alan talked about in this episode, is just nail being a champion for others, champion for causes, and don't forget yourself. Champion yourself, and you'll be shocked at what you can do. And don't wait 3 weeks, 3 months to go do it. Go do it as soon as you are finished listening to Alan play his favorite Queen song.
Oh man, well said. This thing called love, I can't handle it. This thing called love, I must get round to it until I'm ready. Crazy little thing called love, break time.
I love it. Queen is one of those that I think anybody can listen to and enjoy life. And so, folks, you've heard Alan now. This is 5th episode. It's a true pleasure to be able to do these. So Alan, while many folks who've listened this long in this episode probably already know how to reach you, why don't you pass on again?
Hit me on LinkedIn. I post as a matter of fact, I just posted about a post about Queen and how they aligned recently. But LinkedIn, also bandingpeopletogether.com, or Alan, Alan, at bandingpeopletogether.com, and just reach out and say hello, and let me know that you found us on break time, and make sure I get back to you even faster.
Well, we've had that happen recently where Alan was somebody at social media sent him a message and said, "Hey, I saw you in our break room," which is
Yeah.
what we want to
Yeah,
do.
you know what was funny? It was someone who had followed my music in Five Star Iris, and she was like, sent me a screenshot. She's like, "Can you believe how shocking it was for me to look up in my break room and like see the CV, and all of a sudden there you were?" And she goes, "My coworkers were trying to figure out why I was going crazy." And like, yeah, I know, shocking. Yeah, small world.
Well, that's what we want to do. We want to entertain and enrich folks in their break time. And if you love this episode more, you can follow breaktimeu.com and see all the episodes that Alan contributes. Alan, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for joining
Oh,
us again on
so
Break.
fun. Thank you so much for having me. Enjoy your break, everybody.
Rock on.
Rock on.
We hope you enjoyed this Break Time U podcast. To learn more about Alan Schaefer, visit bandingpeopletogether.com. And to hear more episodes from Alan and all of our guests, visit breaktimeu.com.